All right, absolute value equations. Let's go over quickly what absolute value is again so that you're not completely lost when we get into the problems that use it. Okay, the absolute value of 5 means how far away from 0 is 5? And that is 5, right? Absolute value of negative 5 means how far away from 0 is negative 5? And that's also 5. Okay, so this first one, absolute value of 5, is clear out here. And because it is 5 units away from 0, that's what it means. And remember, we're only counting spaces. So I could count backwards, I could count forwards, it doesn't matter. How many spaces are there? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just counting. Okay, now the negative 5, how far away from 0 is negative 5? We have 5 spaces again. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. No matter which direction you count, you're going to have 5 spaces. Okay, so absolute value means the distance away from 0. Okay, because distance is never negative, absolute value is never negative. Like if you wanted to measure 5 feet behind you, you would just turn around and measure 5 feet forward, right? Okay, there is no ruler or yardstick or tape measure or anything that has negatives on it. You just measure the other direction. So distance can never be negative. It can be 0 though. So we can't say that it has to be positive because it can be 0. Okay, now this page explains positive inside the absolute values, negative inside the absolute values. But now we have a variable inside the absolute values. Okay, so what this means is positive distance away from 0, but we don't know what the number is. We do know, however, that the distance is 4. So the distance from some number to 0 is 4. What is that number? Okay, it never tells you whether you need to go to the right or to the left, but there's 4 that way, and here's 4 this way. So you get 2 answers because the absolute value of 4 is 4, and the absolute value of negative 4 is also 4. So when I say there's one answer to the left and one answer to the right, this is what I mean. Okay? The distance from 0 can go either direction, to the left or to the right, but it has to be 4. Okay? And that's what this next stuff right here is talking about. Okay? Here's where we run into a problem, however, because we want the absolute value of x. So the distance from some number to 0 is negative 12. That can't happen. Okay? Distances can never be negative. And when you see the absolute value, it means the distance from 0. So it is a distance. And since they can't be negative, there is no solution. Okay, so on an exam, you could write no solution, or you could write no solution this way, or you could write no solution this way, or D, N, E, which is what you'll probably need in Canvas the most. Okay, I will take any of those. And if you notice in the print here, I disagree just barely. It says, by definition, the absolute value of a number has to be positive. It's not quite right because it could be 0. Okay, positive or 0. Okay, now this is what the problems are going to look like. you're going to have an absolute value around a variable or something, and it's mixed into an equation, and you have to solve for x. Okay? So first of all, you're going to isolate the absolute value. In this case, it's just the x. So we're going to isolate the x as if the absolute values were not there. Okay, so this would be the center of our equation, and this would just be like 3x. But don't change it to 3x. Just think, okay, that's an x, and I'm going to, we're going to get rid of the extras, right? So we're going to get rid of the subtract 1 by adding 1 to both sides. So now we have 3 times the absolute value of x is equal to 9. And now we're going to divide by the coefficient, which is 3. Okay, now we get the absolute value of x is equal to 3. Okay, just a little on the side thing here. Be really careful when you're writing absolute values because, for example, absolute value of 3, that could be 131 if you look at it incorrectly, right? So if these absolute values are a little bit bigger, then you won't get confused. Okay, back to the answer. This says absolute value of some number to 0 is 3. So I have 1 to the left and 1 to the right. Okay, so my answers would be, here's 0, 3 this way, and 3 this way. I would be at -3 and +3. Both of those are your answer. Okay, you've got multiple ways of writing it. You could do set notation, -3, +3. You could say x equals -3 or x equals +3. I think in Canvas they have a box and they just say to put your answers in using a comma. And they might say to put the smallest one first. I'm not certain. Technically, this is incorrect because you don't have the set notation around it, but because that's Canvas, we'll take what we can get, right? Okay, on an exam, if you do that because that's what you're used to, I'll give it to you, but I will write in the braces for you because this is the technical. When you have more than one answer for x, this is kind of a programming thing. If you're writing code, this is 1x, so x needs to equal one thing. In this case, the one thing is a set. This is 1x, and it's equal to two things, so that would crash a program. Okay, this x is equal to one thing, this x is equal to one thing, but because I put an or in between, it means everything in both, which is both answers. Okay, and as I've said before, I'm not going to be incredibly picky, but I do want you to know what is correct. Okay, all right, so go ahead and do the one that's your turn. Pause the video, try it, and come back. And yours is extremely similar to the one that we just did, right? Okay, so here is your center, and you are going to get rid of your extras, which is -3 from both sides. 9 times the absolute value of x then is equal to 9. And we're going to divide by the coefficient, which is 9. So absolute value of x is equal to 1. So there's 1 to the left and 1 to the right. And there you go. Okay, another way of writing it. And either one of those would be perfectly acceptable. -1, 1 would also be acceptable. Okay, here's a little technical thing. Do not put it like this, because that means the interval, open circle here, and everything in between, right? Okay, that's not what you mean. So make certain that you're writing exactly what you mean so you don't have issues later. All right, the absolute value part gets a little bit more complicated, right? Okay, the process is still the same. Okay, you start with isolating the absolute value. These are already isolated. What that means is there's nothing, no matter what's in here, in this case it's the 2x minus 1, it's isolated if there's nothing out in front or added to the back or something like that. Okay, this one doesn't have anything in front or back, it's completely isolated. Okay, step 2 is to split it for one to the left and one to the right. Okay, so when you're splitting to the left, it's going left of 0 or into the negatives, and if you're going right, you're going right of 0, which is into the positives. Okay, that will make sense here in just a sec. Okay, so we're going to put an or in between this part and this part because we want both answers to be included, not just where they overlap, but both answers. Okay, since 7 is positive, we're going to move positive 7 and we're going to move negative 7 from 0, basically, right? Okay, so if I move positive, that's going to be equal to 7. Drop the absolute value signs, and that's the right half. The left half, you drop the absolute value signs, and it's negative 7 because it goes in the negative direction. And now you have two separate things to solve, just like we did before, with an or in between. It's just last time they had less thans and greater thans instead. Apparently the sound cut out there for a minute. I'm sorry. I don't want to um, record this section. So um, solving each part is doing the teal part and the pink part, solving each one separately. When you get your two answers, you just need to write it correctly. So make certain you put the or in there, or you have to write it in set notation so you can do it the right way. Okay, up here on step 2, I'm going to put a negative here and a positive there. Maybe that'll help. Okay, go ahead and try yours while I zoom over there. I'm going to leave the steps where you can see them. There you go. Okay, here we go. It's already isolated. There's nothing multiplied or added after the absolute values. So we're going to split it into two parts. The negative part on the left, positive part on the right. That's generally what I do, although you could reverse those. It would be absolutely fine if you did the positive one on the left and the negative one on the right. I just usually stick with the number line. Okay, so left-hand side is going to be x minus 7 equals negative 3, or x minus 7 equals positive 3. I'm going to put or over here in between so you remember to do that. Okay, now we're going to solve both sides. So add 7 to both sides here. We get x is equal to 4. And add 7 to both sides here. And you get x is equal to 10. Bring your or down, and that's your answer. Or you can write it in set notation. Okay, so like I said, if you were to, down here at the bottom, if I would have done the positive on the left, the negative on the right, solved them both, I'd still get the same two answers. Okay, and in your set notation, these can be in either order. So these can be in either order. Okay, look at your directions on Canvas, which one they want you to have in which box. Because if you put them in the wrong boxes, you'll miss it, even though the numbers are right. On paper, I won't care one way or the other. Okay, so there's those two. Hopefully it's making sense so far. Okay, now these two are getting a little bit more complicated, and they're both number threes, and they are completely different. Okay, if I were you, I'd just pause the video right here, try them both, and then come back. I'm just going to do both of them for you, though, so just keep watching or pause it in between, whatever you want to do. Okay, here we go. On this one, you've got a lot of isolating to do. Okay, so you have equal sign is right here. Absolute values are right here. So you have a 6 and a 7 to get rid of. You cannot subtract them right now. That's against the order of operations, the solving equations, everything. Okay, if I had 6 minus 7n equals negative 29, you get rid of the 6, right? It wouldn't even be a question. You couldn't do 6 minus 7 because they're not like terms. It's the same thing here. Okay, the 7 is connected to the absolute values and the 6 isn't. Okay, so here's your center. Let's get rid of the extras. And we have negative 7 times the absolute value of 2x add 4 equals negative 35. Now divide by the coefficient, which is negative 7, and these cancel. So now we have the isolated absolute value. So absolute value of all of that is equal to 5. Now it's isolated, and we can split it. And here it is split, almost. I didn't get that last part, sorry. Is equal to positive 5. So you have the whole inside, here and here. You have one negative and one positive with the or in between. Okay, now we're going to solve both of those separately. So minus 4, 2x equals negative 9. Divide by 2, divide by 2. And don't panic that it's a fraction, it's okay. So negative 9 halves. And on the other side, minus 4, we get 2x equals 1. Divide by 2, and we get x equals 1 half. Okay, and you've probably already noticed that the pink steps and the blue steps are identical. And that's because this and this are identical. You have to get x by itself by doing the same things. Okay, leaving your answer as an improper fraction like this one is preferable in most cases. Okay, if you want to take that one last step, 9 divided by 2 goes in 4 times. 1 now goes up and stays over the 2. So this would be negative 4.5. You can do that. Me, however, I don't want to, because if this is acceptable, why go through all of this to get your next part? It just takes up time, takes up effort, and you don't need it. Okay? So this is our answer. And that's generally what I do. I just box it. I don't rewrite it in set notation. Okay, so I'm not going to do that any longer, but you are more than welcome to do it if you would like to. Okay, the other side doesn't look anything like this one except for the absolute value and an X and an equal sign. Okay, so let's try that one. Alrighty. Absolute value is already isolated on this one. There's nothing times, nothing subtracted. So we're just going to split it right now. Okay, so the left-hand side, you drop the absolute values, make the number negative. The other side, you drop the absolute values and make the number negative. Positive. Negative over here, positive over here. There you go. And you have to have an or in the middle because we want to include both answers. Okay, so now we're going to solve this side. Minus 5 minus 5, we get x over negative 3 is equal to negative 9 times by negative 3. So these cancel, and we get x equals positive 27. Other side, same steps, and we get x over negative 3 equals negative 1 times by negative 3. These cancel, and we get x equals 3. Bring your or down, and there you are. Okay, so absolute values make things basically twice as long because you have to do one to the left and one to the right. Okay, however, like on this first part, when you're isolating, you only do that once. Once you get it isolated, it goes two ways. Okay, both of these are considerably more complicated, but still, it looks horrible, but it really isn't. Okay, so let's take a look at these. Every individual step is something you know how to do, so don't let the entire package deal freak you out. Okay, our first step is to isolate. So there's the center. 5 needs to be added to both sides to get rid of the negative 5. So now we have a negative 7 times the absolute value of all of this is equal to 28. Still isolating. So we're going to divide by the negative 7 that's in the front. It's multiplied by the absolute value when it's just squished next to it. Opposite of multiply is divide. So there we go. Okay, now would come to the step to split. However, we're going to stop right here because there is no solution. And how do I know this? I'm hesitating so you can think about it a little bit on your own. Okay, the reason is this 4 is negative. Absolute values can never be negative. So because we got one after it's isolated, we can't go any further because this says the distance of something from 0 is negative 4. That cannot ever happen. Okay, so there's no solution. DNE, not possible. Anything that you think of that works on your exam that means there is no answer. On Canvas, just read and see what they want you to do. Okay, let's take a look at the one on your side and see what happens here. Okay, so here's the center. Let's get rid of the extra 8s out in the front by subtracting. Negative 8 times the absolute value of all of this is equal to negative 32. Now don't get too antsy, I guess. Don't jump the gun because this is a negative. It's not isolated yet. We're going to divide by negative 8. Negative 8's cancel. So now it's isolated. And it's equal to positive 4. So we can continue, and we're going to. So the left is dropping the absolute values equaling a negative number, or the right is dropping the absolute values and equaling a positive number. Now I've watched some students show their work on both of these, and because they're doing the same steps, they do them both at the same time. I think that's kind of funny, but if you're wanting to do it like this, That's fine. Okay, I prefer to solve one side completely before solving the other side, but that's just me. Maybe you want to do this. Okay, I'm just showing you some options. Because the steps are identical, this might be something that you'd be interested in doing. Okay, so for the left, we get -8/3, and for the right, we get 0. Bring your OR down. Ah, and there we go. Okay, the two problem number fives. Wow, look at all of these fives. Surprised that one wasn't. Over here, fractions, it's a little bit different. Okay, I would try both of them and then come back. Okay, I'm going to start with the one on the left, and we need to isolate. So there's your center, and let's get rid of the 5 out in front by adding. And we get -5, because these are gone, right? Times the absolute value of 5x add 3 is equal to 10. Divide both sides by the coefficient. And now we get the absolute value of all of this is equal to -2. And that means there's no solution because the absolute value can never be negative. It can be 0 and it can be positive, but it can never be negative. Okay, so that one looked bad, but we get to stop partway through, so it wasn't too bad at all. Okay, this one. We're going to isolate the absolute value first. So I need to get rid of that 1/4. To do that, I'm going to multiply both sides by the reciprocal, which is basically 4. So there we are. 4's cancel, and I'm left with the absolute value of x minus 2 is equal to 24. Absolute value is isolated. It equals a positive number, so it's fine. Let's split it. So we get to the left is a -24, and to the right is a positive 24. Adding 2 to both sides of both of these, right? And bringing the OR down. Okay. Yeah, hopefully the solving equations part is pretty easy for you now. But absolute value part is the new part. So it will come. It might be a little interesting to think about it first, but you'll get it. Okay, now this one looks kind of crazy, doesn't it? We have absolute values on both sides. So now what do we do? Okay, you're basically, like it's saying here, you're still doing a positive and a negative version of the right side. But the reason that works is because absolute value needs to take the positive negative of this side, but then each of these have the absolute value that you need to take the positive negative of this side. It's kind of crazy, but the positives and the negatives cancel each other out, and all you really need to do is, I'll show you over here. Okay, so we still have a left and a right like we did before. Drop the absolute values. Whoops, said to drop them and then I didn't. Drop the absolute values, and it's equal to this side that's negative. So I need the negative of the entire side without the absolute values. Or drop the absolute value on the 5x minus 3 side, and that's equal to the positive of the right-hand side, which is just 7x minus 2. You technically have 4 options with the 2 positives on the left, or the positive and negative on the left, positive and negative on the right, but they cancel each other out and end up with only these 2. Okay, so now let me zoom in And let's do it. Okay, so on this side, we're going to distribute 5x minus 3 is equal to negative 7x add 2. Going to get the variable on one side. So we end up with 12x minus 3 equals 2. Add 3 to both sides now to get rid of the extras. And we get 12x is equal to 5. Divide by 12. So x is 5/12. Okay, now on the other side, we don't have to distribute, so we're just going to go right ahead and move the 7 over, or the 7x rather. Move it over with the 5x, so we get negative 2x minus 3 is equal to negative 2. Add 3 to both sides, so we get negative 2x is equal to 1. Divide both sides by negative 2. Okay, now at this point, I'm just going to show you what I do. I normally would write x equals right here, right? But because I'm done, and these are my answers, I'm just going to move it down here. So x equals negative 1/2. So I can drop my or and box it. Okay, so those fractions seem kind of strange. You look over at theirs, and they have some strange fractions too. So I'm going to check one of them just to show you. Okay, so this is putting 5/12 back up in the original for x. Okay, you can follow through the math there if you'd like to. It's just getting common denominators, multiplying and stuff. But when I get to the bottom, you can see I have to take the absolute value of this now, and it becomes 11/12. I have to take the absolute value of this now, and it also becomes 11/12. Okay, so yep, it checked. Okay, it's kind of a mess. Checking it if you don't know how to do fractions really well, it's just nuts. But I love fractions, so I know I'm weird. I also love these problems. I think they're fun. So let me know if you get stuck. We are done. So good luck on your homework and let me know. You've got this.